Leos, September is all about practice makes perfect. Let's have an aligned astro chat about it. Hello all, I'm Stacy the Black Feather Intuitive, and welcome Leos to your Transformational Tarot for the month of September. And this, of course, is part of my Black Feather Couture Divining a VIP Life series. So excited to be connecting with you guys today. So this was the card deck that jumped out for me for you guys today. We're going to do pull cards from the Heavenly Bloom Tarot from Noah Akita, and then the overarching theme is going to be from the Spiritual Awakening Oracle cards, and this is from Dr. Erin Fall Haskell. So without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so it was really interesting that I got the message practice makes perfect, because I am a person that really struggles to try and break out of that whole perfectionist mode, and so it's kind of an interesting I want to say an interesting phrase to come through, but I feel like for you guys it really is about that. I feel that this is a month where you are exploring some different aspects, venturing out. I feel like there's been a lot of self-reflection, self-evaluation, a lot of tower moments I feel that have maybe sort of sprinkled your life in the last few months. And as a result of that, now it's kind of, what do I say? It's integration, sort of integrating that energy. And so let's just sort of see what that is going to be about, because practice makes perfect. When we are integrating, sometimes we have to throw some spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. Oh, beautiful. The law of eternality. Live like you are dying. Wow. Okay, this makes a lot of sense. The practice makes perfect gives you that freedom to be able to say, it doesn't matter whether this is going to work, in 10 years or 10 days or 10 minutes. The point is having the experience. If this is something that is bringing me joy right now, this is what I need to be doing. And it doesn't matter what the outcome is going to be, or if the outcome is going to be, a certain way. The whole point is the experience itself. I love that. Live like you are dying. I feel like this is actually a really great message for you guys this month, because you guys are coming off of your birth month. You're coming out of that Leo season time. But I want to say that was just like the beginning, right? That's just the beginning energy. That was the energy to kind of recharge you. And now it's, what do you want to do with this energy? And I feel like that's exactly what this is about, is you're coming out of it now with sort of a renewed sense of what you want, a very clear sense of what is going to bring you happiness. And I want to say maybe a renewal of your soul path, your soul journey, why you've come here in the first place, and what you want that to look like for yourself moving forward. So, wow. Okay. So where are you presently right now in your transformational journey? What part of you is shifting, rising, or dissolving? Yeah. You're recognizing that all of the shadow work that you dread, or that you've been avoiding, or that you've been dealing with and maybe hyper focusing on it, you're recognizing now it's important, but it doesn't matter. The practice makes perfect, right? I don't have to be perfect at it. I don't have to completely eradicate my vices in order to be able to live this life and to experience joy. Practice makes perfect. I need to do it now. This stuff is always going to be here. And this is the ego. The ego is always going to be here. But in order to rebalance and repurpose the ego, I have to work with the ego. I have to include the ego. But the ego doesn't have to be the central focus of all of my choices. I can recognize that it's here, it's present, it always wants to make itself known. but I don't have to stop living or restrict my happiness and joy because this isn't fully, I want to say, like, contained. So this, I feel, kind of where you're at right now, it's an invitation for you to say, yeah, I'm still going to do the work, but I need to do the work on the fly. Like, I need to do the work in the car while I'm traveling, or talk to me while I'm, walk into my next meeting. I really feel like there's some deep integration that is occurring for you this month. Wow. Okay. So, what part of you is shifting, rising, or dissolving? I feel that this is dissolving, right? Definitely feeling like this is dissolving. So what's the catalyst for you? What's fueling or hindering your transformation? And is this resistance or rocket fuel? Yeah, the Hermit card. So, and how interesting, the Hermit card is the Virgo card, the September card. So this is the card of the season. So I feel like right now, this season that we're in, this month that we're in, the Virgo season is the catalyst for you. Now is your time, seize the day. What do we know Virgos to be about? Detail orientation, being very organized and structured, being very much in service. You Leos are very in service, and you're heart-based externally, passionate and igniting for people. Virgo's service tends to be in the mundane, in the day-to-day, in the dishes and laundry, in the cooking and all the basics, like making sure that your basics are covered. So I feel like the catalyst for you is really going to be kind of embracing a lot of that Virgo energy. I know now that I'm ready to move forward. I want to live like I'm dying, right? Like, I want to explore this eternality, because I am an eternal soul and I only have this life in this body once. So I want to do it right. And so the Hermit, I feel, is basically being a catalyst for you. September, the energy of September and the energy of Virgo is supporting you in doing that. It's saying, okay, then you need to get some of your ducks in a row in other ways. You need to start living in the mundane, like live. Don't think about the bigger picture. Focus on the things that you can do in your day-to-day right now that are going to bring you the joy and the happiness. Because again, practice makes perfect. You don't have to have all your ducks in a row and have this all squared away in order to move ahead. In fact, the Hermit journey is very much about doing that spiritual deep dive, looking at the shadow and determining, what needs to stay and what needs to go. So these two cards, I want to say, are very in sync. It makes sense that this would be the catalyst for you. So, like I said, you're doing the work on the journey, on the go. He's walking, doing his own thing, and he's doing the internal journey. He's doing the deep dive. And he's got his journal to, record his options, or record his findings, record his observations, all that kind of stuff. He's being structured and detailed about it, or at the very least, just being detailed about it. This too can be you. This is the catalyst. A deep root. What deep belief, wound, or soul contract is driving this transformation under the surface? 7 of Wands. So, yeah. So I feel like you felt kind of assaulted by the world. You felt kind of assaulted by your body. You felt assaulted by your emotions. I feel some of you have felt assaulted by people. And what has sort of transpired is this, like, I lead with my heart, I'm all heart, but I don't feel safe sort of putting my heart out there. So now I'm in contradiction to my natural state, because I'm now in a space of defensiveness, feeling like I have to be on the defensive. I have to constantly be vigilant about people's intentions, about what's coming at me. I need to be paying attention to the energy that I'm absorbing. That's not necessarily a bad thing, by the way. We all need to be aware of the energy that we're absorbing. We all teach others how we wish to be treated. So it's important for us to be aware of what we are allowing into our space and what we are not. But the challenge here, and this being the deep root, I feel is that this has kind of become the norm. Like this has become rather than this being a temporary defensive measure, it has crept in and become more the standard. And I feel like this is a month to evaluate that and to determine whether or not that actually still is required. Because I feel like it's not. I feel like this is actually kind of getting in the way for you of what really needs to be faced or what really needs to be experienced. And it's processing the pain and the wounds that have in the fairly recent past occurred and processing it in such a way where you can get to a place of forgiveness. And again, forgiveness is not about the other person or about the situation at large. Forgiveness is for you so that you can move forward into this, happiness and this joy. But this is blocking you right now because there's fear around it. There's fear that, you're not strong enough, that someone's going to come around and stick a knife in your back again, or say something that is, completely devastating. So look at your defense mechanisms and see if they are necessary right now. See how active they are and determine whether or not it might be time to let it go, to release it. And speaking of release, what is dying away? What part of you is falling away, and what role, pattern, or identity has run its course? Yeah, so I feel very much when I'm looking at this card that you're kind of tired of fresh starts and new beginnings. It feels almost like you're coming out of a window of time where it's been nothing but fresh starts. Like I'll use the analogy of dating, not to say that all of you are dating or that this is connected to dating necessarily, just as the analogy that when you're going out and you're looking for, a life partner, or you're wanting a more committed long-term relationship, the journey of dating can feel pretty daunting because it's like 50 first dates, right? Like you're always going out and, maybe this is the one. Maybe this will be the person. Maybe this is the right connection. And you go with the high hopes, and then there's like disappointment when there isn't the spark, or when the person turns around and does something stupid and disappoints you, right? So I feel in a lot of ways what's dying away for you is it's like the bloom is off the rose, right? Like it's always fun and fancy free when you're starting a new journey and yay, but then after a while it's like the honeymoon phase is worn off, and I just want something that I can count on. I just want something that I know is going to work for me or work to my advantage. And I feel like with where you're at right now, and this being something that that you have to just kind of allow it to fall. Well, you don't have to do anything. You want to just kind of allow it to fall away, is this idea of like, I always need something fresh and new. And I would argue that, and this might fall into a different category, but I would argue that sometimes that can be a bit of an addiction, right? That can be a bit of a pattern or a cycle in of itself, that you're constantly looking for something new and different. Well, what are you running from? From a committed perspective, what you're looking at from a committed perspective, there's something there that you're running from. If you're constantly looking for something new, maybe you're restless, maybe you're bored, maybe, you're, unconsciously looking for something different or ready for a change, but consciously you're not aware of that. And so you keep, switching things up. There's always something new and different, either that you're seeking or that keeps happening. So there's definitely a root cause there. There's definitely a pattern. And I feel like it's important for you to be aware of that that, so that when you start to sense that within yourself, you can look at it, you can evaluate it and say, okay, do I really want this fresh start, a new beginning? Do I need it? Or am I running from something else? Is this fresh start keeping me from learning a new lesson, or getting a little bit deeper into, sort of that devilly energy, right? Like practice makes perfect. If I'm trying new things all the time, yeah, we can throw spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, but that's not practice, right? Practice is seeing, picking one spaghetti thing that sticks on the wall and expanding on that, keep trying to hit the same spot, right? Expanding on something that now is there and present. This is your highest phoenix potential. What can rise from the ashes? What is your soul calling you toward? This is your breakthrough energy. Oh, I love this. The Lovers. So Lovers is a card of choice. And it's also, reflections, how you're seeing yourself through another's eyes, how another sees them through your eyes. This is really interesting. I feel like you're this figure in the picture rather than one of the sort of the two lovers, so to speak. I feel like you are the, let's call it the goddess figure that is overseeing these two individuals that are coming together. In this depiction, it feels like a contract, right? Like there's a wedding, there's a ceremony involved here to acknowledge a contract, to sort of consecrate a contract. And so I feel like in this situation, you are overseeing it. So rather than, the way I would sort of interpret this is, rather than you always being like, I'm hearing always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Like, rather than this being your focus, this always being your goal to be part of the contract, you're going to be the person that oversees it. And I feel like through that oversight, you learn so much more about yourself and what you actually really are here to do, or what you really want, versus what you think you want. What you're defending yourself from becomes now what you are overseeing. And because you're able to oversee it, you're allowing it, or you're participating in helping other people to receive it. And in that process, you're receiving a lot of fulfillment, but you're also learning what you want and what you don't want. And I feel like we've just hit on it. I feel like that's where things are at for you right now. Live like you're dying, because you don't really know exactly what it is that you want. You are kind of a little bit in a full journey, in a new beginning. And there is some throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. But if we go with the practice makes perfect, the goal isn't to keep throwing spaghetti. The goal is to see what sticks and then to work with that, to sign a contract and to lean into that new adventure. And if you're the person holding the contract, if you're the person who's overseeing the contract, there's a lot of growth there. I don't know, I feel like this is a little bit esoteric, but I feel like we just hit on something there. I feel like that's the biggest issue, is this month is really about you getting clear on what it is that you actually want, but you need to do it in a way that you're overseeing it through a lot of other people in order for you to kind of be able to identify what that looks like for you in your own life. That feels really profound. What's emerging? What's just around the corner? What energy or experience is coming in to support your next phase? Interesting. 9 of Swords. So I feel here, Leos, like you got to kind of give up the control. You got to give up this idea that you can think your way out of feeling something. If we go back to sort of the Lover's card and the choice or the contracts, I feel like you're trying to rewrite the contract, but it's like it's not your contract to rewrite. present, again, you being the overseer, you're trying to rewrite someone else's contract in your own image, but you don't really know what that is yet. So I'm having a hard time articulating what it is that I'm receiving here, but I feel like you're getting confused about what is yours and what isn't yours. And you're getting confused about what is someone else's, and you're thinking you want that. But that actually isn't yours. It's not the right frequency. It's not the right contract. Like, you got to start from scratch, and you got to write a contract that you feel, not that you think is going to be the right thing, but the contract that you feel. Nines are endings. This is a card of anxiety, right? Big time anxiety. But there's the potential for enlightenment if you allow it in, if you step back and you go into that, more oversight perspective. I feel like you'll see the answer. Here, like, she's so close to everything. She's in a bed, with the covers, and she's got her, her eye covered here. She's, head in hands kind of thing. There's the potential for enlightenment here, but because she's not looking at the light that is available, these little Merkabahs, she's missing the whole point. And she keeps trying to solve a problem that isn't hers. And I also like to say she's trying to solve a heart problem with the head. That's in essence what it is she's not seeing what she needs to feel, or what is available for her to feel, because she's using the head instead of using the heart. And I feel like that is because of this. There's fear. I don't feel safe to share my heart space. I don't feel that my heart is safe. So I choose not to, I choose to remain in a defensive posture. But if she opens her eyes here, enlightenment is possible. And I feel like Merkabah is like meditation, right? It's the light body traveling to get information from source, right? Connection from source. So I would also say it in this regard, if this is what is emerging for you, I feel also a real strong energy here around focusing on tools that help you to get into that hermit mode, right? To connect to what really is going on for you, what you really need to be examining. Circles of support. Who or what is influencing your transformation right now? And is it a positive or negative experience? Nine of Laurels. Yes, this is, so it's interesting. Practice makes perfect. Nine of Laurels or Nine of Pentacles in this deck is the card of gratitude. And it is the card that says the practice makes perfect. The perseverance pays off. This is the card that says, okay, we see this little girl. We see her as a little girl sitting at a piano for the first time in her life. And she's and she's fascinated by the sounds, and she wants to know how it all works and whatever. And so then she gets some lessons, and she's not very good, but she's getting some lessons, and she starts to learn some skills, and then she can play a song one-handed, and she feels really accomplished with that. And then a year or two goes by, and she's really diligent with it, and she practices, and now she's able to play with two hands. And then a couple of years goes by, and now she's using the pedal. And, here we are, fast forward to today, and she has just done a concert at the Met. She's mastered her craft, and now she's able to share that with others because the practice makes perfect. Leos, you can't make this shit up. Like, I swear to God, I love how these cards really come through and talk to us. And she's a falconer. She has this beautiful falcon, and a falcon is a predatory bird, but also a bird that you can work with. They're messenger birds. They can send messages. They take messages back and forth. So there's a level of communication here as well. I'm feeling very much that your practice is going to be your support. So I know we're talking circles of support, and this is usually like the people around you, your community, what you have to lean into. I feel like what you have to lean into here is your practice, is knowing that what you persevere with is going to pay off in dividends, and it's going to reignite, I want to say, some passions within you. It's going to make clear the path that you are getting ready to choose. Because if you're living like you're dying and you're stepping into that eternality, this is going to be really enjoying the fruits of your labor in this regard, sharing your information, you're communicating your gifts, you're communicating, the skills that you're building, and then you're going to use that as foundation for what is next to come. I also have to point out the Hermit is a 9. You've got the 9 of Laurels here. You've also got a 9 of Swords. So 3 9s really indicates that there is an ending that is coming up here in a big way, so that you can reestablish what your new, I want to say, service path is going to be. There's alignment, there's a realignment that is happening here. So circles of support is meditation. I got that in here. With these Merkaba, meditation and the practice, the setting aside time to do the work. That's what I feel that message is about. Interesting. Okay. Now we have, I feel like I missed something here. Yeah, I did. So I didn't do you in this process. How are you navigating this transformation? Are you resisting, flowing, grieving, or boldly rising? Oh, I love it. You've got the World card. So sorry, I'm doing this a little bit out of order, but that's okay. We'll work with it. So I definitely feel like you have the opportunity here to boldly rise. I feel like the world is coming through to say, hey, everything is okay. Everything that you've kind of been through up to this point is serving its purpose. It has served its purpose. We've come full circle with it. It is now time for you to apply the wisdom that you have learned moving forward. So I feel a lot of success with this. Interestingly enough, we were talking about the Fool and how you're looking to not have all of those, fresh starts, a fresh start after fresh start after fresh start after fresh start. It is about, putting in the time, doing the work. But I also feel like the world indicates that there is something new that's coming, but you're going to be growing where you're planted. You're going to be expanding on choices that are being presented to you, I'm hearing, in October. So September definitely feels like it's foundational for you at this time, establishing more of a foundation for what is to come. And I feel like the Live Like You Are Dying, you're practicing that in this month. You're practicing what it's like to say yes without necessarily having to, know all of the details, but also being fully prepared to commit to that yes and to say, I'm willing to learn all that there is to learn, so that I understand the process and I can get the most out of it, right? The most joy out of it. Sum total, summation, coming full circle. I feel like that is you in this process right now. And I feel like there's a lot of choice in this for you. It's conscious choice. And I feel like it's giving yourself permission to be able to sort of go the extra mile. Interesting. Hopes and fears. So, this needs to go up here. Sorry. This is hopes and fears about the change. What are you dreaming of becoming? And what scares you about actually doing it? Ooh, the cards are getting a little sticky. I feel like they're trying to be very clear about what card is coming up. Okay, so we have the 8 of Cups. Yeah, you're afraid of letting go. You're afraid to become this new version of you that wants to come out. I feel that there's some insecurity in this regard. I feel like you're not feeling safe enough or strong enough. That seems to be a theme coming through. Look at why you aren't feeling safe. Look at those areas where you are maybe feeling a bit disconnected from source energy. Because I feel like that's really what this is about. The practice makes perfect is almost like giving you a way to feel more confident in making the choice. Like if you get to know this new version of self, then you build your confidence in understanding yourself and knowing why, things are going the way they're going, or why you're making the decisions that you're making. But I do really feel this energy of you being afraid to let go of what was. And I feel like there's going to be a realization here in September for you that you might be enacting the very pattern that you thought you had broken out of. Like sometimes we get into situations thinking that we have evolved out of a situation. A perfect analogy, and again, this isn't specific to this reading, but just as an analogy, like for me, I think we all have different patterns and cycles in our romantic partnerships. For me, that has happened a couple of times where I'm like, okay, I've learned this lesson. I've met a person who's very different than like the previous people that I've connected with or dated in the past. I've definitely broken out of this pattern and cycle. And so you get this brilliant. I'm thinking for me, it was all about narcissistic partners. I finally broke out of that. Then I had some relationships with people who were not narcissistic, and it was wonderful and it was great. But you get in the middle of it and you realize, oh, you're not narcissistic, but there are still patterns and cycles that are unhealthy or dysfunctional here that I'm still playing out. So I feel like that's kind of what this is about, is like something is going to come up for you where there's realization that, oh, I thought this was different, but actually it's not. And I don't want to say to you that you necessarily have to walk away from a person or walk away from a job unless you feel called to do that. Then obviously, by all means, follow your intuition. But I feel like this is like a recognition of the pattern. And then you acknowledge the pattern. Practice makes perfect. You acknowledge the pattern, and then you practice on breaking out of that pattern. And if it is about another person, you involve that person in it, right? Like you say, hey, can we work on this together? I'm noticing this. If it's something else, you can obviously, do it on your own. But I feel like there's going to be kind of an aha moment around, oh, I thought I was doing something differently, but here I am in a sporadic fashion running into the same pattern, just maybe a little bit less or in a slightly different form. So what do I want to do with that information? Practice makes perfect. So do I want to continue in the cycle, or do I want to break the cycle by doing something differently? Do I want to walk away from what I have done in the past? If I am living like I'm dying, chances are I need to walk away in such a fashion that I choose to say I'm not doing anything the way I used to do it before. Everything needs to be a bit fresh and new, right? That fool's journey. And in that fresh and new, I then practice. I then get connected to what it is that I'm really wanting. All right, and this is our outcome card. If you stay the course in September, who will you be on the other side of this journey? And what is the result of embracing the full death and rebirth cycle? Chariot, there's a victory here. You're really going to feel successful in being able to meld the seeming opposites within you. Because this is not, a particularly pleasant journey when you're, having to look at the extremes of things and having to face, oh, I'm in something that I thought was different, and now I discover it's not so different. So how do I want to address that? I feel like you're going to be victorious. I feel very much that you're going to kind of take this all by the balls and, make it work for you. I will say to you that the Chariot is a card that indicates that there is a strong movement forward, a relocation. That can be a relocation of your heart space. That can be a relocation in a physical capacity. That can be relocating where you put your investment into a person, how much you invest in a person. So don't think relocation in a literal, like I'm moving sense. It can definitely be that, but I feel like we're talking about some broader approaches to this, broader meanings to what this is. And I feel in the end, like that's exactly what is coming up here for you. The outcome is going to be on the other side of it. Oh, okay. I do understand now what it is that I'm looking for. And as a result of that, I have a clear direction on where I'm going. And so I'm taking myself there. Or I'm using the extremes. I'm using what I've learned to make my trip a little easier. I like to talk about the chariot. It's like the cab or the Uber. It's part of the vacation. It gets you from island A to island B, or it gets you from the airport to the resort, for example. But it's not where you want to spend your entire vacation, right? It's smelly, it's cramped, it's hot. The guy drives like a kook. There's all that kind of stuff. And you don't want to spend your, 2 weeks of vacation or 2 days of vacation in that car. But man, oh man, are you grateful for that car to get you from A to B? Because if you had to walk from the airport with all your luggage, it would take you a long time and it wouldn't be very pleasant, right? So it's understanding that this is a temporary, I don't want to say temporary fix, but this is helping you on the journey, but this isn't the journey itself. This is one part of the journey. So September is going to bring you through this whole experience. The practice makes perfect. And at the end of the month, you're going to have a clear path on where you are going. And you're going to have assistance on how to get there. It might not be, super comfortable, the VIP limo. But you're going to be grateful for how it helps you to get to that next leg of your journey. And you're going to feel much more confident in that process, because I do feel that you're much closer to really understanding what it is that you want. Wow. So Leos, that is your September Transformational Tarot. Wow, it's going to be a pretty interesting month for you guys. And if you need any kind of help or support in that regard, please feel free to click on the link below, book a session with me. It's what I'm here for. So happy to be able to connect with you and help you out in any way I can. Otherwise, until we see each other for the next segment of Black Feather Couture, Divining a VIP Life, sending you so much love, so much support. We will see you on the flip side, and transform well.